And bullish is the only one that turned out bad. So, you know, I don't know. We all have our ways of doing things, Brandon.
I don't purposely diversify. I've never really paid attention to diversifying, and I've always told people, hey, if you're concerned with diversifying, just buy SPY or QQQ, preferably both.
Right?
And that's it. You know, the investing in individual stocks is about taking on that risk and assuming the high reward and high risk scenarios that each individual stocks brings with it.
And I love that stuff.
And if you're comfortable and you know what you're doing, then putting all of your money into just a handful of companies, it's not that bad of a deal.
It's not if you take the time to do the research for what we explain here on the show, and
Right,
we try to go into it every now and then of what we're looking for, what I'm looking at, why am I looking at this company, yada yada yada.
right.
All right, Brandon. What else you have? I have more stuff, but like, what else do you have? Because now we're gonna transition over to you, man.
Okay, well that's fine. I just American Express, they reported a good earnings. That's another winner on my table here.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah, Taiwan Semiconductor, the best in my opinion. Just showing the strength and quality of artificial intelligence. 39% year over year increase in earnings per share, 30% increase in sales.
That's going to get even higher over the next few years. How many billions of dollars these companies? Think about it. If a financial company can invest $2 billion in AI and make profit off of that, everybody's going to be invested billions and billions and billions of dollars in this.
Yeah, and this company is always going to be at a discount to its peers because of the geopolitical concerns of the country that it, is in
Because
Taiwan.
Buffett pulled out of it. Buffett used to own it, and he pulled out of Taiwan.
Yes, he did. And they're going to be moving a lot of factories and stuff over here to the United States, which is a good thing, but that's going to affect revenue as well. But I mean, killer quarter, it just depends. Do you want to take the geopolitical risk with China or not? If you want to take it, cool. I'm cool with it. This is a great company. They've been great for decades.
I don't think
They,
moving some plants to the United States is going to kill revenue. It's going to kill bottom line number profit.
yeah, it'll be profitability, not
Yeah, the
revenue.
revenue is going to be strong no matter what. It's just gonna,
You're
yeah, the
correct.
bottom line.
You're correct. Absolutely correct. It'll be the bottom line that it gets hit on that. But yeah, if you want to take the risk on it, it's been a great company for decades. They make 67% of the world's semiconductors.
That's
I mean, so what
outrageous.
do you do? I
That
mean, this
is
is the most
outrageous.
the two most important companies in the world are Nvidia and Taiwan Semiconductor. And if there is ever a direct threat from China, as President Xi says there is, because he says that they're going to get Taiwan back, Taiwan Semiconductor is going to be a big player in it. You know what I mean? And not
It's
a good way.
yeah. I mean, the geopolitical tensions and risks involved in that whole mess is huge. And the fact that 67% of the world's chips are made by one company should scare a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But it also means that one company does a really good job.
That's yeah, right.
So,
They took majority of the share of the world's chip making.
yeah.
So yeah, they're
I
doing
mean, so you don't
fantastic at
you
what they
don't want to
do.
punish them for that, but you also, there's the China risk.
All right. Let me get into real quick talking about geopolitical risks. And since we're on that, I want to talk about this article I just uncovered. And I've talked in on here about natural gas, about oil, about why is the U.S. why were I thought we had a great relationship with India and Trump and Moody seem to be getting along just fine. If you don't know who Moody is, he's like the current Prime Minister of India or President of India. Um, now, but India was buying Russian oil, and that was the problem. And that I covered that on the show. I covered it in detail, like what was the relationship? Why were we putting sanctions on India? We wanted them to stop buying Russian oil. They agreed to go ahead and scale back some of that. China still buys Russian oil. A lot of countries around the world still buy the Russian oil. That's still a big thing. So Russia, we're trying to sanction Russia. A lot of European countries are coming along on these sanctions, and we're it's cutting into the price and cost of oil because other countries are pumping up their output. Some countries, uh, Russia's still pumping out their output quite a bit, and they're still able to sell a lot of their oil through other means and other ways around the world because countries like India were taking advantage of cheap Russian oil because Russia needed to sell its oil to maintain some tax revenue coming in to fund what's going on, right?
Sure.
So go ahead.
No, you're good. I didn't have anything to say.
So I say all that just to go ahead and talk about this article that just popped up that came out today at 4:36 a.m. today, 10/19/2025, and the headline is Giant Russian Gas Plant Suspends Intake from Kazakhstan After Ukrainian Drone Strike. So this is talking about the Orenburg Gas Processing Plant. It's the largest facility of its kind in the world and has been forced to suspend its intake of gas from Kazakhstan. And I've covered what the gas and oil sales from Kazakhstan mean to those countries. I even spent a whole time on Kazakhstan, I believe, talking about how they want to diversify away from oil and natural gas and what their plans were for IT and technology and all these other issues that they have that they wanted to be part of, right? But right now, this is still their main source of income for those countries. So the had to be shut down. So Ukraine, which confirmed it hit the gas processing plant in the Orenburg region, an oil refinery in the Samara region, and it has stepped up its attacks on Russian refineries. Now, this is not Ukraine's first attempt. Ukraine has previously tried to strike oil refineries in the region before to no success. All of a sudden, now Ukraine is able to hit these refineries and start hitting them more often. What does that mean for oil in the broader market? That means the cheap Russian oil and gas that some of these other countries in Asia were getting is going to be at a standstill to halt for a little bit. They're going to have to buy it from other areas. So if they're buying it from other areas and they can't get that cheaper Russian gas, that means supply is now higher. I mean, supply is lower than demand. Demand goes up, supply is stayed the same. You're going to see a price increase come Monday morning on oil is what I'm expecting. A 1 to 5% increase somewhere in that range. I know that's a big range. You're like, Dave, that's a huge range to be given out for a jump in oil, but it's unclear of how long this is going to be shut down. First
More
thoughts, Brandon.
more earnings momentum for ExxonMobil.
Which still hasn't moved out of its range that I said it's been in forever, and I refuse to buy it again because I sat in that and made barely a percentage return on my money.
Eventually, I think it will. I mean, I think people were just expecting it to come down, but I mean, they just had one of the largest headline beats of the quarter so far. $112 billion of revenue. The
Still,
estimates of
still not
103.
above 120 a share though, and that's my complaint about Exxon. It's stayed between 110 and 120 for over a year now. Over a year.
We've seen companies do that. I mean, Amazon did it for a while. They stayed in a range. And what was that other tech company that you and I used to look at all the time and say, "Well, this never." Oh, it was Micron.
No,
And
Oracle.
eventually it got out of that range. And then
No, Cisco.
Oracle,
Cisco.
Cisco, yeah, it's Oracle went up
Cisco.
on.
Yeah,
Oracle had a
Cisco.
huge
Cisco went up as
increase.
well. Finally
Yeah,
broke out of
Oracle
that.
should
Yeah.
not have went up. They did not have a good quarter. This was all based on hopes and dreams and future promises of artificial intelligence, which
Hey, a
I
lot
look,
of things have been built on hopes and dreams, buddy.
I get how artificial intelligence been a great, contributor, but look, Oracle's not doing. They didn't have a great quarter,
Yeah.
and that's one of the stocks that should not have went
Anyway,
up.
trading
But
within
anyway,
range.
but I think, look, if you don't mind it, like you're gonna collect dividends. Exxon doesn't pay a low dividend. It's not incredible, but it's a decent dividend. You can sit there, collect the dividends until it does get out of the range, and I think eventually it will. Um,
I don't want to sit in that long. I'm not that patient. I'm good.
I mean,
I'm
they
good.
said, and that was another company that made a commentary on the market, by the way, in the economy, and they said that they had high seasonal demand. You don't get
Yeah,
high seasonal demand here. I get the exclusion of the Russian oil out of the market, but you don't get high seasonal demand from a recessionary environment.
but you can't exclude Russian oil out of the market. They're just not counting it in OPEC plus
Yeah,
amounts, and it's still pumping. So that means there's been a high supply that's been overreaching demand. That's why oil has come down in price over the last 12 months. If you look at a 12-month chart of price of cost of oil per barrel has come down because of this whole Russian-Ukraine war thing has we are including Russian oil into the equation, but it's still there and it's still pumping out and it's still selling. And so therefore we have an oversupply on the market right now.
Sure.
And that's what's going on. And now with, the largest facility of natural gas in the area being shut down, and this goes back to natural gas is a big problem for Europe because they're trying to do the sanctions on Russia, which means they're buying it from the US, which means the US is shipping over tanker after tanker after tanker to Europe of liquefied natural gas, or LNG is what the acronym is that's used. All this LNG is coming over there, and I mean, I've looked for shippers who are shipping this. I can't narrow it down to which one. If you're listening right now and you can tell me which shipper has been really raking in the dollars, I thought it was going to be North Atlantic traders or tankers, and it's not. They're not making the money off this, even though their CEO is so bullish. He's buying his own stock every single month with his income. It's crazy, and they're not even the ones making money off this. I don't
Right.
know what tanker or shipping companies making the money off this, but somebody is because the demand for U.S. Liquefied natural gas to go to Europe has been huge. Anyways, yeah, I'm looking for the markets for natural gas and oil to move to Monday morning right away, first thing.
Okay.
You ready for some earnings this week?
Well, let me get into the other companies just real quick, and I'll just
Real
quickly
quick,
go over them.
lightning
Okay,
round.
so I want to give Carnival Corporation a good shout out here. They
Oh,
refinanced $4.5 billion of debt, brought down their interest rate payments. Um, they've prepaid $700 million in debt
it's a
to get
dog.
that down. They still have very high debt. I'm
It's
not
a
going to
dog.
deny that. Look, wait, let me finish. Okay, so. They raised their full year 2025 adjusted net income by $235 million. They project an increase of nearly 55% compared to 2024 in sales. They're reporting a strong 2026 with more than half of their bookings already made for 2026 at historically high prices. That to me also doesn't say recession, but you're telling me that people are spending their credit card money on so maybe that's I don't know. We'll see what kind of sign this is for the economy. But they've restructured their debt, still very high. I'm not buying it right now, but they're heading in the right direction.
I'm not touching
So
Carnival with a 10-foot pole.
they customer deposits reached a new record high of $7.1 billion at the end of the quarter. Their return on invested capital reached 13% for the last 12 months. That's the highest level since 2007. So, I mean, I'm not touching it either. The cruise lines are too way too competitive. The travel industry is way too competitive for my taste. But they're doing a lot better. Management's doing a good job with the company, is what I'm saying right now. And
Oh,
so
is
I
it
wanted
one
to
of your
give them a sign
turnaround
up.
plays? Is this a
Yeah, what?
turnaround play?
No, I'm not going to buy it. I mean, people could, but I'm not going to. Contrast this with what I'm going to call the worst performer
Oh, the
from what
worst.
I've
Let's hear
seen so
this.
far. FedEx.
Okay, yeah.
Three consecutive quarters of lowering their full year guidance. They can't get this right. Management, your biggest job is to guide your business and to model your business and to project your business, and you're not doing it. You got three consecutive quarters of downgrading your own projections. You've got a problem. And then that erodes trust with shareholders because you don't know what you're investing in.
Yeah.
You don't know
And
what
it
you're
keeps
buying.
getting downgraded, so I mean they keep missing. So
Yeah.
why would I
So
want to
I mean,
invest in this
they
company?
had they had 2% revenue growth year over year. Meh. They beat consensus on that. Um, the earnings per share $4.51 that missed. Um, so they cut their full year guidance for earnings per share three straight times. They lowered their full year EPS forecast significantly. They shifted their range from $16.45 to $17.45 down to $15.15 and 15.75. That's a huge cut.
Yeah.
That to me tells me you have no idea.
Yeah.
So worst performer. Um,
Worst performer
Worst
from
performer.
Brandon.
The one company that should have not went up, another one was Liberty Energy. Significant miss, negative 0.06 negative 6 cents a share earnings per share. That's a 200% miss. And for some reason, and I still haven't really done much research on this one, but the stock surged 20%. Um,
Okay.
Apparently they had pumping efficiency go up or something, but it's a speculative stock there to show you
I
how
like speculative. Like my if I'm going into a speculative stock, it's usually a biopharmaceutical because I believe in the drug.
yeah, this one I think that like this just shows like these highly volatile speculative stocks and how shorting them can make sense to us, but then the market does the exact opposite for no apparent good reason.
The market can what's the term? What's the slogan out there? The market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent.
Yeah,
And that's an actual term out there and it's sometimes it's true.
yeah.
Sometimes it's just true.
Hey, do
But
you
if
remember?
go ahead. But like well no I'm going to interrupt you because the two billionaires who were battling each other over Herbalife. One of them, he still owns a short on Herbalife, and it's because it's not an option, it's not a derivative. He just shorted a stock, and so he
Yeah,
could remain solvent for years and years and years. And he's told them, I'm waiting for this stock to go down. I don't care.
okay.
Still owns it to this day, I believe.
As long as he doesn't get called on a margin call, which he probably won't
He's
be.
not
But
on margin.
billionaire.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
he has the cash sitting in there to cover,
yeah.
so they can't.
Okay.
He's like, I'm holding this. He just hates that company that much. Crazy, crazy.
Wild.
All right, earnings
I
this week. Ready?
Yeah.
Monday morning, Cleveland Cliffs. A suspected huge loss coming out of the company is what we expect. I want to see what they have to say about the Nippon Steel deal that went in effect earlier this year and how that's affecting their business. But that's one I'm looking at for Monday morning, Cleveland Cliffs. Tuesday, I have a huge list here for Tuesday, but it's all around really for it's all around one area. So before the bell on Tuesday, we have GE Aerospace, Halliburton, Lockheed Martin, and Northrop Grumman. If you know those companies, then you know what I'm going to be watching. It's all military spending and military aircraft spending, and I want to see where the money's going. Are they expecting a higher spending rate? I know Pete Hegseth, the current, um, what do we call him? Is he a Secretary General? I forget.
Secretary of State,
Yeah, I
maybe.
defense,
I don't know.
Secretary of Defense. He's the
There you go.
Secretary of Defense. He is reforming the U.S. military. I want to see what new contracts they have to say about it. Are they going to be rearming? Are they coming out with new airplanes? Are they buying more F-35s? What's going on? I want to know what's happening with all these companies and the military spending there. GM also reports also before the bell on Tuesday, so we can take a look at tariffs and see how it's affecting their numbers. The biggest one on Tuesday is Netflix by bar none. Everybody's expecting a huge result out of Netflix. K-pop Demon Hunters was a huge hit this past quarter.
Don't get it.
Everybody's, I know, right?
I
It's
don't.
huge. Everybody's expecting big numbers, but that's also can be a downfall for a company when it comes to earnings. Everybody suspects big numbers, and if you don't come out with a blockbuster number, then you kind of disappoint, even though you beat your own guidance. You could still disappoint. It's crazy that that's the way it is, but that's how high that bar has been set for Netflix. We'll see if they could get over that bar on Tuesday. On Wednesday, this is a stock that both Brandon and I both own, and we both have sang its praises on here. GE Vernova. I am not looking for a great quarter from GE Vernova right here. I'm looking for more contracts. I'm looking for flat movement in the stock. I'm not looking for a big jump up or big jump down. I am looking at future contracts. What deals are they signing? What's their guidance looking at going forward? If we're looking at previous quarter, I'm looking at just to remain flat, stay where you're at, that kind of business out of GE Vernova. A lot of companies are saying that is overbought. Some companies are saying there's still lots more room to grow. It's divided. It's 50-50 on GE Vernova. Brandon and I, we bought it a while ago. So for us, we're fine if it drops another $100 a share. We're still profitable. But if you didn't and you just bought it recently, then you're hoping for some really good guidance like we are to see some more growth in the stock. Thursday. Thursday is mining day. So I did a quick TikTok and Instagram reel on Newmont mining, and I gave Brandon all kinds of praise on it. I know he saw it. No, he didn't see it. He doesn't watch our own social media. But Newmont Mining, the expectations are high on Thursday, of course, for this. BlackRock has come out and said that Newmont Mining is in an excellent position. They have huge profit margins. They are doing fantastic because gold is over $4,000 an ounce, but they run their business based off gold being at 2,200 to 2,400 an ounce.
Yep.
That means all that extra space in between is profit. So
Yeah.
Newmont Mining.
Look, expectations are high for Newmont, but the valuation is not. The valuation has not followed that. So I mean, it's had a great run up this year, but the valuation is still semi compressed. I think you still got a good runway here on it.
There you go. More runway to go for
Yeah.
Newmont Mining from Brandon himself saying it's going to continue higher. Freeport McMoRan, another big miner, also reporting on Thursday, so you get to see those two miners. One company on Thursday that has nothing to do with mining, but it has to do with oil, Baker Hughes. I quote from Baker Hughes reports all the time on different oil rig counts and so on and so forth. I look at it weekly. They comes out the report every Wednesday. Baker Hughes reports on Thursday. Intel, lots of Intel's been in the news the past if you watch stocks at all the past 4 weeks, you've heard the name Intel every day on Bloomberg, CNBC, Cheddar, what have you. They report on Thursday. It's interesting to see what they're going to say in regards to all the news, in regards to the government buying a portion of Intel and what that looks like going forward. Are they going to get the government going to get involved in telling Intel what to do, or are they just a silent buyer? That's one thing to look at. Then lastly, on Friday, we have P&G, which is a good guide of the overall economy, and see how P&G reports on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like
Newmont Mine
that.
and Brandon, that's been a killer for you this year. Good call on that earlier
Thank
this
you.
year for our listeners. Great call. You deserve to take a ride around the park and get the cheers.
Who knew that a
So,
gold miner would perform similar to the Magnificent Seven?
right? Only
I mean, I
Brandon
did.
Beaver
I
would. Only
did. But
Brandon
who else
Beaver.
knew it? Who else knew it is what I'm
I
trying to
didn't.
say.
I bought Rio Tinto last year thinking that gold because I saw gold. I saw the movement in gold. If you listen to that podcast where I covered Rio Tinto and I said I was buying it, I saw the movement in gold happening. I called it out on that podcast.
Yeah.
This was last year, around actually before this time
Yeah.
last year. I think it was like August, September of last year. And I said, I'm buying Rio Tinto. I believe that the mining, you see it in here. You see gold moving higher. You see all the mining, all the minerals, blah, blah, blah. And I went into the detail on it. I said, gold's moving higher. Buy Rio Tinto. I was wrong on Rio Tinto, but I was right on gold moving higher. I just had the wrong company. You found the right
Understood.
company, Brandon. You found the
Yeah.
right company.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's all I got for earnings coming out this week. A lot of earnings. Brandon, final thoughts before we go.
By Goldman on the expectation that we're in a soft landing and that this is the soft landing and that rate cuts are coming because I think they are. I think more are coming. And if that happens and the economy could stay in the soft landing mode, the IPO market will open back up. Market opens back up. Goldman gets more investment banking fees, and I think it's already at a decent valuation. The 6% drop in the stock is not warranted. Uh, I'm a buyer.
All right. I see Europe economy taking a hit. I see China's economy taking a hit. I believe the U.S. economy is not as resilient as everybody believes. I think it's built up on credit. I see that possibly taking a hit as well. Because of that, I think that off balances the Russian natural gas facility going down. I believe oil will do its move next week higher off the news of the facility going down. But overall, I believe we're going to have a slower economy. Here you go.
Yeah.
Finally.
Okay.
I'm finally saying
You
this
might.
after all this
But
time.
is it a soft landing? Are we going to have
I
a mild recession, or what? What are you thinking?
I'm
Because
I'm turning
we're kind of
bearish. I'm
flip
turning
flopping.
bearish on the economy, Brandon.
Okay.
This
All
hasn't
right.
happened in a while for me. I
Yep.
see the signs, and I think it's not going to happen next week. I do believe it is going to happen, and so my timeline I would say is 1 to 3 months before we start seeing data,
Okay.
and I think it's time to reevaluate your positions
Okay.
and
Well,
create some cash on hand. Create some cash on hand.
there are some contagions out there. We talked about one last week with the supply chain loans. and the First Brands bankruptcy, there's been a couple of more potential contagions that popped up over the last week. I don't have the time to talk about it this week. If I remember, we'll talk about it next week. Um, but JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon said that, hey, it's the cockroach theory. If you see a
Yeah.
cockroach, there's probably more.
Yeah.
So
Yep. And
we'll see.
that's where I'm at. So,
Yeah.
all right, the perma bull is now turned bear. Here we go. All right, guys. As always, we hope we have been entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. Have a good night.
Have a good